Thinking about creating my own reality, there are so many different ways to do it. One thing that I've learned with my yoga is there are actually 8 limbs of yoga, and asanas, doing the poses, is just one of them. You also have mantras and mudras and mushnas, where actually when you look with your eyes, you're sending energy out. So you can tell when someone's looking at you because they're actually sending energy to you. And when you become aware of it, it's a very powerful thing. I think about when I look at a space, I'm changing that space just by observing it. You know, coming back to quantum physics as well, you've got just by observing an experiment, you change it. And Vedic, science says that when you look at something, you're actually sending your energy into it as well. So you're never just a passive observer where you go. And why do I bring this up with creating your own reality? Because everything you do, from your thoughts, the way you breathe, the way you move, the way you look, literally with your eyes, you're creating your reality everywhere that you go. My daughter was in a Shakespeare play a couple of weeks ago, and she came home. She was playing Juliet in this little scene, and I said, "How was Shakespeare?" She said, "Dad, I hate my Romeo. He's horrible. He keeps messing up his lines. He's not paying attention." I said, "Well, is there another little boy that you'd like to play Romeo?" She said, "Anybody else, Dad. I would take anybody else over that Romeo." I said, "Okay, well, who knows what might happen." The next day she goes to camp. The boy who was playing Romeo had gotten sick and dropped out of the camp. So Romeo number 2 comes up, and I saw her the next when she came home. And I said, "How was it? Aren't you glad you have a new Romeo?" She goes, "Dad, he's the second worst Romeo." I said, "Sweetie, you should have been more specific when you were trying to manifest a different Romeo. The universe is listening." So that was one example of her not being specific enough with the reality she wanted to create with her Romeo. I think about, there's this trait with Japanese, in the Japanese culture, where when Japanese people move to a new place, they take their little corner of the universe and they make it beautiful. They just, maybe it's feng shui, maybe it's just their philosophy, but no matter where they go, you could put them in the crappiest cell in Alcatraz, for example, and they're gonna plant flowers and bamboo and have butterfly gardens and just make it into this magical Zen space. I think that's so wonderful how no matter where we go, no matter what we're given, we can always make it more beautiful. I really admire that, and I try to do that with myself. My wife would laugh because I also have a very high tolerance for chaos, and I'm a very visual person, so when I'm at my desk, I have all my papers laid out, and nobody knows where everything is except for me. So visually, it may not look like all peace and order, but I know exactly where everything is, and I can find it instantly. The way that I work. You probably don't want to put this in the movie because it makes me look like I'm not organized. All right, creating my own reality. There's a story that's been verified. You guys know Waylon Jennings, the great country musician, Willie Waylon and the Boys? Well, Waylon was Buddy Holly's bass player on the tour where Buddy Holly and his plane went down with Big Bopper and Richie Valens. Buddy and Waylon were like brothers. There's some pictures that they took in Grand Central Station at a photo booth, and you can just see them like best friends. They're both wearing sunglasses and smoking a cigarette, and you just see that brotherly affection they have for each other. Well, the promoter for that tour just booked shows wherever he could.